Are you desperate for a man? Do you feel like Jerry Maguire and you complete me? Well, get out of that headspace, girlfriend, because I'm here to tell you there's a formula. Yes, there is a formula for attracting real romance. Yes, not fake romance, real romance. And my next guest is going to share his strategies on my show, La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. So stay tuned. Frankie Lee, dimmi, quale senso della vita?
The meaning of life is to live la dolce vita, which is the formula for fabulous living.
Hi, my name is Heather Picken, and welcome to the La Dolce Vita Show, the formula for fabulous living. I'm the catalyst in helping you to be more confident, create your dream business, and attract elite clients and live a fabulous life. Here's Heather helping you to upgrade your life to
fabulous. Upgrade your life to fabulous. Right, Frankie? You're fabulous.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. And I love my job because I interview people all around the world, and they have a fabulous mission and purpose. And today we're going to be talking about really the secrets on how to attract a divine relationship, or I think what in my show notes, Barry calls it 3 keys to attract real romance. Yes, not fake romance, real romance. I'm going to be sharing some of my crazy stories on dating, what not to do, right? I'm in a great relationship now. But I love my expert, Barry Selby. So Barry, thank you so much for being my guest today.
My pleasure to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And before we get into today's topic, I think about being, you're all about empowering what you call the divine feminine, really helping empower women. And I love that. I love that message that you're presenting to the world, especially with female entrepreneurs. So before we dive into today's topic, can you share a little bit about how you help women?
First of all, I help them by having them stop becoming men. I did my own history of dating women, especially the last 4 or 5 relationships, were very much where I was dating a woman who's more masculine than I was. I almost felt emasculated by it, to be honest. And that's one of the reasons it fell apart. So I've been very studious myself and learning about the different things that we don't do right and how to become better. And plus, I have my own history, and I'll get into that another time. We have time to talk about it. But truly, it's about seeing women own their feminine gifts in the world, because the business world has trained women to act like men, and then they treat their relationships the same way, and it doesn't work.
I have to agree. I am guilty of doing that in the past. And, it's really kind of understanding what that balance is. And, let's go into that. You're talking about 3 keys on really how to attract real romance. Now, I always like talking about some of the mistakes, talking about, some of the challenges that I find a lot of empowered women are having, especially women entrepreneurs. They're successful, they're putting themselves out there. And when it comes to romance, they're not attracting the kinds of men that they want. Maybe they're attracting men that are flaking on them. They're not congruent with their actions. Maybe women are chasing men. I've heard so many stories about that. So and I'm sure I'll include some of my stories, but if you could share some of the mistakes first that you see women doing.
Well, let's see. I hate using the word mistakes because it almost sounds like you're doing it wrong. But it's unfortunately the programming and the default behavior we've learned to do. So truth is, we just don't know better. If we knew better, we'd do better. So hopefully some of these insights will help you do better. For me, what I've realized so closely with so many women I've been around, both socially and also in my business, is that women have learned, unfortunately, to live in the world the way men do, as I mentioned. And what happens is their dating life, they haven't found a man they can trust to let go of their masculine. That's one of the biggest cornerstones, is women have really fought hard, and I passionately believe in this. Women need to be out the world being big and successful and making a difference. But the challenge is that men haven't necessarily, this is part of the men's problem, to be honest, stepped up to honor women that way. So when women are in their feminine, which is what I really coach women to be, there's a divine partnership between the feminine and the masculine that creates a polarity of a true relationship. But a lot of men haven't owned their masculine, so women are going, where's the men? So part of my work is to help women really become attractive to the right sort of man, so they don't settle for less than they deserve. And yes, there are men becoming more flaky with women who are successful. And even more heinous, to be honest, than that is I see men, I should say women, let men in their lives who are threatened by that and will be dominating their women to try and be the leader without being respectful for the woman. And that's not fair or right.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because talking about one of my dating stories, I remember I was in a relationship with a woman with a man.
Just checking.
I don't care. Yeah, whatever your preference is.
Exactly. No judgment.
I was dating a man, and you know, he really felt, after I looked at the relationship, he really felt threatened by me. And it was like the butting of the heads, like, I don't know, egos involved, but it was so disjointed. And if I really had the wisdom that I have now, I would have been in a different place. So, part of it, I think, is just kind of learning what to look for. So, if we could go through some of those steps. I know you said that you have 3 strategies or secrets on how to attract real romance. So what would be the first one?
The first one is truly for most of us, and I mean, most of us know this, but we forget to do it, is to have a clear vision. For most of us, we tend to, well, especially in the modern era with our smartphones and all those websites, we go on these smartphone swipe dating apps and sites, and we go looking for someone we might find compatible, versus starting inwardly with what do we really want? Because the thing is, if you're looking out there, you're going to be hit and miss. I call it playing Russian roulette with romance. It's a gamble because you don't know what you're going to get. But you start, first of all, with a clear vision. And that vision starts with really where you are and where you want to be and who you want to attract. And yes, I do work with vision boards and other things, but I also take my clients into a place where they actually experience what it feels like to be there, which creates this resonant frequency, this magnetism for what they really want. So that's the first key, is always getting clear about where you want to go and what you want to have.
I love that. And, I am a big believer in creating a vision and a vision board. That's something that I have my clients do when they're building their business. So I really want women to hear that, having a vision, what that is. And it's not so much surface based because, like you said, like swiping, right or whatever, being online, you could find a picture of a guy that you think, oh, wow, this guy looks really great on paper, but in essence, if you're not clear and you can attract, and I've done that. I remember being on Match.com. I'm going to share this with everyone. This was years ago. On Match.com, this person looked great on paper. Come to find out, this person was married. And so, there are losers out there, people that are very deceptive. And it was a real empowering lesson for me to learn. I just didn't have the tools that you're talking about, having the vision. And that's why I think it's so important to work with someone just like yourself in getting clear, because, if you had that relationship, you'd already, that person would already be in your life, so I really think that's important. So thank you so much for sharing that. So having a vision, feeling into it so you can be in resonance. And so what would be the second thing?
Well, I just want to drop one thing in, because you mentioned about if you knew better, we do better sort of thing in the hindsight. It's like hindsight is 20/20. Foresight is the challenge. So that's the clear thing about vision. When you have a clear vision, it becomes this much more, you see clearly what you want versus just blindly stumbling. So yeah, what you said is true. The second key, and this is one of the, it's subtle, but it's more important in a way, because for most of my clients I've experienced, and for me as well, I went through the same thing, that I felt I was not complete until I found somebody. And that is what's I'm looking for? It's a lie.
Right.
We are trained to think by the music industry with all the love songs about we'll be whole and complete when we find our perfect partner. And the reality is we're whole as we are. And in fact, most of the work that we forget to do is to love ourselves enough that we don't need to find somebody to fill us up, but we look for somebody who's the overflow from where we already are. And so the work with my clients, a lot of it is, I'm going to call them self-love, but it's really about them owning their magnificence and who they are, One, because then they don't need someone to fill them up. And secondly, they won't settle for less than they deserve.
Amen to that. That's all I have to say. I have another story. So when I was with someone and they weren't loving me for who I really was, and it was a disconnect, and I know it was a mirror. I attracted that person into my life to really, take a stand for me. And I really encourage every single woman, if you're doubting yourself, can I really find that person? Like what you were saying, you have to own who you are. You have to know who you are. And in that relationship, I thought I did know who I was. And it came to, and I've shared this story with other people, but it came to my aunt dying of stage 4 breast cancer, for her dying, for me to look at my life and say, you know what, this relationship that I'm in is no longer serving me. And as soon as she died, it was like a couple days after that, I said, you know what, I'm choosing myself. And a lot of women are so disempowered. I felt so disempowered before that because I felt like I couldn't have that choice. Here I am, successful, but in my mind, I had these beliefs that I did not deserve a man that could love me for who I was.
Right. And that's the thing, is so many women have unfortunately thought that was the truth, and it's not. And and you're right, you're so much more than that. And you deserve to have something that matches you where you're going, where you are.
Yeah. And do you also find too that, you attract those people where you're at? So let's just say, you made a really important distinction. Like you've got to really love yourself, because if you don't, and let's just say you go out and you put yourself on Match.com or one of those other dating sites, and you're just like, oh, I really need to be with this person, then you attract someone that really is a mismatch. Have you found that to be true in your experience in helping other women?
Well, yes. And that'll lead me to my third key in a moment. But I want to say that the thing is, that person will treat you the level you treat yourself. So it really is a mirror in that sense. So if you're not feeling like the person around you is not respecting you, maybe you need to respect yourself more as well, and that will raise their level, so they'll respect you more as well, or the next person will. So that's a key one. But the third key I want to bring in, which is the one that is the booby trap, I would say, or at least is the biggest, worst secret of all, as it were. And this is the simple fact that and I can get a whole psychological and biological explanation of how the brain works, but the truth is, we make an intention or a vision of what we want, which is our powerful, clear vision, which is our frontal cortex, our willpower and our intention. But what we forget is we have a part of our brain which is programmed when we were very young, that is running automatic programming that we will learn as a kid. What that means is that the way we were raised influences everything in our lives, particularly the way we choose relationships. And for many of us, and I can talk about my stories, I'm sure you have some too, about the multiple times in relationship where the same thing happened, as in it wasn't them, it was us, that we can tie it back in through a thread to perhaps something that happened with our parents or adults around us when we were kids. So in broad strokes, what it is our baggage from the past. And until we unpack and release that baggage, it's going to keep being dragged into every relationship. And it is probably the most challenging part of any relationship is your and your partner's baggage that you don't want to unpack.
Yes. I love that. And that's so true. I was attracting for many years a reoccurring pattern and theme that I took on those beliefs as a child, and I kept seeing it in every relationship. And, I would hire other relationship coaches to keep me straight, because I could not figure out what I would do. Is I'm like, what the heck is wrong with me? Like, I am a smart, successful woman, and I keep attracting the same pattern. And that's why, again, for all women that are watching this or listening, like if you're feeling stuck, if you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to be with somebody, but I have failed attempts, there is hope for you. And you need to invest in yourself and hire someone. To me, it's a worthy investment, to get help, because a lot of times you can't see your blind spots. Would you?
Well, the thing is that this is the thing I thought was crazy. I was talking about this with somebody about a year ago. When you want to get healthy and get fit, you'll go see a dietitian or a fitness coach or someone to get you on track so you get healthy. If you're in business, most of the time you'll get some sort of business coach or a financial planner to help you strategize where you want to go in your business. When it comes to relationship, you go to Match.com, and I'm going, there's a gap there. Isn't relationship perhaps your most important thing you want to have in your life is a loving relationship? Yes, you want to have a career, but isn't a loving relationship more important to you than that even? So why not get help and get guidance to get what you really truly want the right way, which is what you just said. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's so important because, if you're listening and you're a woman entrepreneur, I will tell you, I have firsthand experience in this. When I would get into each bad relationship, my business would plummet downward. And so I find that there's a correlation
Yes.
in how your business grows and goes if you're in a relationship that is supportive. I am in the most amazing relationship. I totally created it. I know, because of who I am and my intention, like what you're saying with you, you have a step-by-step process in helping women. And I never thought I could get there. And I think it's just so critical because if you value yourself, invest in yourself, and just know that if you're wanting to get a relationship, what will happen in your business when you have the right match is that your business will go up. I cannot tell you. So get into a good relationship and make more money.
There you go.
I love it. And, I love listening to like success stories or case studies. So can you share some of your clients that you've worked with? Like, for example, I know a lot of women, let's just say if they've been divorced or if they're 40 or over and they feel like, gosh, time is running, the clock is running out. And I don't know if there's, I can really find someone. So what are some of the stories or things that you can share for women out there that might be questioning, will I really find my quote unquote soulmate?
Well, the answer is, okay. You just brought that soulmate word. I got to say something about that. Some of my fellow coaches talk about soulmates being the one true divine partner, and I want to burst your bubble. Because the truth is, I believe that the God is a benevolent God, whatever God you want to call it, spirit, what do you call that? It's a benevolent God. And I don't think God would be so cruel as to give you one soulmate amongst 7 billion people. It wouldn't be fair.
Right.
So I am very clear that is finding someone who matches you and grows with you and becomes your partner over time. In fact, a lot of times, soulmates develop with each other versus seeing each other across a crowded room or across a crowded planet. So I have an issue with soulmates as a term. Now, this is one of my own clients' experiences. I had clients that were actually in relationship when they came to see me because they were about to get engaged and they were just realizing there was stuff in the way. And frankly, there was a minister I spoke to once said about any couple who comes to see him and wants to get married in his church, they must come see him as clients first for counsel before they get married to make sure they're on the right page, because a lot of couples get married with no third-party perception, which can be dangerous or challenging, should we say. So in my case, or my client's case, they came to see me because there was something in the way between them. And the truth was, it was interesting because she knew me first. He didn't know me. And she reached out and we had some sessions together, talked with each other and worked on some stuff that really balanced their relationship better. And then about a year later, he reached out to me because they were about to get married at this point. Or I should say they were on the point of going marriage or nothing because they were really on this cusp. And it turned out something she was working through. And what it became through was, and I'll say this much about it, she had major trust issues from something that happened with her dad that had destroyed her previous marriage. And so with this marriage, it was getting close to that point of being married. And that monster was raising its ugly head again. And so by working with her, we got to resolve and really get clear the separation of her father from any man and healing that part inside that was still hurt so she could love her current man, and they got married. So it's really about removing the blocks so they can move forward together because they really were designed to be together. And for that, I'm very grateful I could help them.
I love that. What a beautiful story, and it goes back to what you were saying before. When you get in a relationship, you better clear out that emotional baggage closet. Otherwise, you're going to bring that, you're going to project that on to your relationship. And I've seen it so many times. That's why I think it's so important to be in a relationship with someone that's quote unquote conscious, like they can own their stuff, because we all have our little triggers that come up. But when you're in a healthy, conscious relationship, I find things definitely flow much better instead of pointing the finger at someone, blaming and criticizing. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I would actually say, I'll just give a story from my own life. And this one actually is a very light one, but it has some interesting connotations. As I mentioned about before, we take on behavior from when we're younger, particularly from our parents. I'm originally from England, I guess from the accent. And I was raised in a very, very, very reserved, even though I was a working class, but very reserved in terms of emotional expression, was very suppressed in my family. When I was a kid, I don't recall my parents ever arguing, mainly because we're so, emotionally bland. We weren't really expressive family. It wasn't Italian or something like that. It's just, title of your show. But growing up, I don't remember my parents arguing. And what happened, fast forward to my dating life in my teens and 20s, my early dating life was a very exploratory period, getting to know myself, getting to know partners, and going with girls and women as time went by. Every single time, though, the same thing would happen. It may be a month, it may be 3 months into the relationship. Something would happen where we would have a discord, an upset, or a hurt, something she would get upset about, and it wasn't ever me, it was always her. She would get upset with me about something somebody didn't do, somebody did do, and we'd have an argument. And I would shut down and leave every single time. And what I figured out later on was I had a rule in my head from when I was a kid that according to my upbringing, when you have a loving relationship, there are no arguments. So an argument means there's no loving relationship. And it was a black and white, clear decision. It wasn't about that they didn't express it yet. It was just one or the other. And I'm grateful in a lot of ways for my upbringing because I'm thankful for my parents who were together 60 years till my mother passed away. But I also realized there were lessons I had to learn beyond that to allow me to love beyond the perceived limits I had put on myself based on what I was raised with. So we all have those things growing up that impinge us, be positive or negative, that will influence our dating choices. And it's good to know what they are and then choose to make some differences if you want to.
I love that. So really diving deep into your past or understand where you came from and that you have, some kind of blueprint to work on. I think that's
Right.
really important. Gosh, Barry, I love this interview. This is so powerful, especially, your whole message about empowering the divine feminine, which I think is really necessary. I'm just kind of curious, what made you get into this work? What really inspired you?
I can look back at when I was coming out in my teens and I'll get there, but what really happened was after my last breakup, which was basically just over 10 years ago, I had done all this work for 25, 30 years studying personal development and human growth and all this sort of stuff, but I was still missing something big. And I started discovering the whole masculine and feminine polarity, which I didn't even know what it was before this point. But for the last 10 years, I've been very immersed in that. And along the way, I really come to understand how in my own heart as a masculine man, I hadn't expressed to this point who I really was. And when I step up to that level, I look around and I see this amazing amount of women out there in the world. And I live in Los Angeles where there's a lot of beautiful women, but they don't know their power yet. And for some of them, they do. And there's some women out there I love because they're standing head and shoulders above the rest of the people, leading and being solid in their truth. But some women have yet to claim that and own that. And so part of my service and part of what drives me is I love seeing women own their feminine gifts. It's really what inspires my heart more than anything else. So I'm driven by this now, just to help serve, see, and inspire women to really own their feminine gifts, because women have been told so many times no, and I want to say yes.
I love that. And I love having people such as yourself on my show. And these are people that want to transform the world. That's who I'm interested in, having leaders and people that I call trailblazers that really want to make a difference. And you truly are, Barry. So I really appreciate having you on my show. And before we go, where can women that want to become empowered, they want to be in amazing relationships, but haven't had the best track record, where can they learn more about you and investing in their inspiration?
Well, basically, I've been grateful because a friend of mine a long time ago said to me, when you start setting up the social media accounts, make sure you use your own name. So basically, my name, Barry Selby, is everywhere in terms of my Instagram account, Twitter, Facebook, etc. It's all the same thing. And so is my website. So if you want to find out more about me, go to barryselby.com. I recommend you click on the chat button to actually set up a time to talk. But everything on my site is under that heading. So my book and my coaching is all there.
Awesome. Great. And for those that are watching over on my blog, if you go to heatherpicken.com, you'll see it in the show notes. Or if you're listening on iTunes, you can find it there. And I always encourage people, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Or if you're over on YouTube, which is also connected to my blog, you click on that little bell. I'm calling it Pavlov's blog, because you're going to see episodes. You're going to get the updates right to your inbox. So again, Barry, thank you so much for sharing your formula for fabulous relationships.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Until next time, this is Heather Picken. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. So if you found this show to be fabulous, please share share with your fabulous friends, rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. And I'll make sure I take a beatbox lesson, right? Or give my little chihuahua a bone. That's me. Fabulous.